It's 4 o'clock on a Monday, and you know what that means, don't you? It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi TV Live. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. New microphone this week. Yeah, listen to that audience roar. Thank you, fake band. Thank you, fake audience. Love you, dudes. Hello, everybody. Hello, Marion, Drew, Galloway Music, Linda Cullum, Carrie, Peter Rahill, Marion Laird, Kenda Potter, Carrie, Amanda, Jean, MTP, Stephen, Jesse, Dean. Hello, everybody. Anyway, we are trying. I was cleaning out an area in our home yesterday, and I found a shoebox full of microphones I forgot that I had. Really nice, nice microphone. So I'm trying an Audio-Technica microphone today. Does it sound any better? Hello? Hello? Does it sound any better? How's the level, by the way? The meters look about the same. Just want to see. So, all right, well, people are talking about the chat. Gene says sounds better. Everybody says sounds better. Great. Okay. More bass. How's that? That's my announcer voice right there. Okay. And how's the band sound? Love that band. Okay. So I want to tell you at the beginning of the show, next week, Rob Shirelli is going to join us for the first time in quite some time. Really excited. Multi-platinum engineer, producer, multi. He's got somewhere approaching 100 gold platinum records. Some of them, many times platinum. And he's just been so busy for the last couple of years that we haven't been able to get him on the show, but he's booked and I'm booked for next week. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, it's right down there. There's the little there's a little subscribe thing right about there. Okay, don't forget to share, and most of all, don't forget to like us, because we're insecure. We need it. So that's it. Show's over. Been great hanging out with you guys. Love the new microphone. Anyway, now this week we are doing crowdsourcing the mood and emotion. I have found over the years that so many people think that their music is one genre and everybody else doesn't think it's that genre. We've done, guess the genre before in the show, but we've never done what the mood and emotion is. And, this was all started some weeks ago. Somebody sent me some music on a weekend. That's okay, to my personal email address on a Sunday. Did I mind? Yeah, actually I did. And I was listening to the dude's stuff, and it was perfectly crafted. Everything about it had a developmental arc. It was really well recorded, exceedingly well produced. Every sound on it was great. The melodies were great. Everything was great. And something just didn't feel right about it. So I sat there going, I wonder what that is. And after probably an hour's worth of listening on a Sunday, did I mention it was on a Sunday? I realized that the emotion wasn't that obvious. Everything about it was perfect, but you couldn't identify it. It wasn't that it lacked emotion so much as it lacked emotion to the point of not being able to move the needle. If you put it in a scene, first of all, I couldn't even tell you what kind of scene it would be good for. Second of all, if you had put it in a scene, it wouldn't have even been good wallpaper because it wouldn't have contributed to the emotion or the mood. So there you go. That was the thing that gave me the idea for the show. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to play some instrumentals and some songs. And I'm going to take my wallet out of my pocket, better for my posture. And we are going to have you guys blurt out what you think the emotion is. Now, don't blurt out things like would be great in a Western. That's not an emotion. Fear, happiness, joy, introspection. Those are things that are emotion-based, not, would be awesome on a racetrack. Wouldn't help anybody. So, without any further ado, I'm going to ask the young lady whose name is Bria Y'all know her, you love her, sitting across from me at the table, and she is going to be our DJ. So let's play. The title on this first one is called Inspiring Emotional Piano. So it better be. Oh. Listen to that audience coming at you through an AT condenser mic. I'm sure they sound bigger than ever before. Okay, so that was Inspiring Emotional Piano. Spew it out, guys. Let me see if we find any consensus in what you think the emotion is. Just one emotion. Hope and happiness. Heartfelt. Like to welcome the lovely Miss Lisette, Adriana Lisette, to Southern California, which is now her home. I saw that on Twitter late last night. Happy, happy, happy. Anyone else getting repeating sound hiccups with? I don't think so. It's an hour earlier. To inspiring, yes. Emotion. Hand gliding. Hand gliding? You mean, whoops, hang gliding? Let's turn that off. Relief. I love that. Uplifting, uplifting. Does uplifting count as an emotion? Hopeful, gratefulness, hopeful, happy, uplifting, uplifting, hopeful, resolution. Hang gliding. Peter Rahill changed his thing to hang gliding. I'm getting the hiccups too, Robbie Hancock says. And pops and clips. Really? All the time or just when I say loud stuff? Curious if it's the new microphone or if it's our connection or something. Excitement, reunion excitement. No pops from Vincent Brennan. Hopeful, hopeful. Yeah, uplift, Mark Himley says lots of briefs, brief meaning a request for music asked for uplifting or emotionally up. I don't know that that's an emotion. It's a description of a range of emotions. If they want uplifting stuff, it could be happy, could be joyful, could be inspiring. There are a lot of things that fall under uplifting. So I don't know that alone. I mean, it's uplifting and, I think. Rob Spencer says audio is fine. Hey, Rob. Ann House, how are you? sadness, then turn around to the brink of joy, optimism, perspirational. Yes, let's use this. That had to be right. Yes, look, it's Peter Rahill. A surprise. You know, how would you like to be in a road trip with Peter Rahill and Scott Hansen in the car? That would be a long trip, or fun trip, but it might get old fast. Exhilarating. Joyful. Okay. I'm a little stumped. Actually, yes, it is uplifting, but that's not an emotion. God, I should have printed out my list of emotions so I could go down the list, but I actually thought about that over the weekend and then decided, nope, I'm going to put myself on the same level you guys. I shouldn't have the cheat sheet handy. But inspiring. I mean, there are a lot of scenes you could see this in. And yes, Peter Rahill, you could see it in a hang gliding scene. You could see it in one of those scenes where somebody's running across a beautiful meadow. They're finally coming home, and the love of his or her life is on the hill, you know, out there somewhere. Triumphant. You know, there are parts of that get very triumphant. I'm not sure that the first half on its own could be triumphant, but towards the back half, there was a part where it went into a nice lift and it sounded triumphant. I will give you that. Anyway, okay, so pretty obvious. That one was pretty obvious. Let's listen to more, and congratulations to the person. I don't know if I should call out names. As long as you guys will behave yourselves and not, you know, not that you guys are mean, but, you know, let's keep it positive today. We're just talking about the emotions. So let's give out some composer names. That was Dimitri. Yeah, how do you say that?
I think it's Clinnan.
Clinnan. Okay, Dimitri Clinnan. Nice job. That was a good piece. Well done. Yay. All right, moving on. Hey, Gloria Covington. Glad to see you in the chat room. Okay, moving on. This one is called Man Who Has It All. Let's have a listen. This is a song.
Playground, 3rd grade, me and him back when we played dodgeball and Foursquare. I hugged him once on a dare. Years flew so fast, childhood was fun, but it just could last. Now he's off to LA, I'm a hometown girl, I chose to stay. Sometimes when I get home after work, I see him on TV. Since on town sure took to him, but it took him away from me. He's the man who has it all, and there's nothing I can give him now. Man who made me fall for him so long ago, and I don't know how to get
Are you guys like sitting all over the world listening, going, wow, the audience sounds better than ever? I sure hope so. I invested absolutely nothing in that microphone. Found it in a shoebox. Oh my gosh. Okay, that was Man Who Has It All. That was Dustin Hovermail. Sorry, Dustin. And spit them out, kids. Let me see, not a description of the song, not a genre, but what the emotion is that was central to that song. We have jealousy. We also have the fan running this week again. It's back. Rebellious. I don't know. Is rebellious an emotion? Vengeful, is that an emotion? Revenge? Bitterness, anger, envy, anger, hurt. Bitter is a good one. That's pretty funny. Bitter is a good one. You bet. Impetuosity. Holy crap. I can barely say that word. Proud, jilted. I don't think... I can only say this because the person saying it is a woman, but Ann House says pissed off woman. Oh man, there's so many ways I want to go, but I just won't even touch that because it's a family show. Let's see, loud thumps from touching the desk. Okay, I'll try not to do that. Bitter for sure. Sad and angry, bitter. Okay, so bitter was probably bitter and angry. Yeah. I would agree. It was pretty obvious. I was a little worried, not that we should be even discussing this, but some of the lyric was actually enough of a story that it could have been borderline unusable because it had its own story and might not stack up well with the story in a movie or something for a film and TV placement. But the bitter anger factor was there, so yay. Good job on that, Dustin. All right, moving on. We have, this is a great title, Dizzy and Ditzy, which I'm sure most of us are from the time change. Well, it starts Saturday night into Sunday morning, yeah. We tried to sleep in, weren't successful. Okay, let's have a listen to Dizzy and Ditzy. That was an awesomely wonderful piece of music, and that was Dizzy and Ditzy by Henry Winkle. Great job on the recording and playing on that, Henry, but your stuff is always first class. That was just amazingly great. I like the fact that you could hear the room. Sounded like the musicians were feeling each other and seeing each other. All right, so let's see what you guys think the emotion is. And while you're coughing up some ideas, is relaxed an emotion or a state of being? I'm waiting. I'm looking. The emotion was drunk. Or is that your current state, Mr. Spinner? Laid back, nicely drunk, sassy or relaxed, mellowed out. I don't know. Are those emotions? Contented, confident. Somebody tell me if those are emotions. I don't know. Content is an emotion. Content just showed up again. At ease, morning hangover. Yes, relaxed is an emotion. Maybe contented. Yeah, I like contented. Yeah, Linda Cullum brings up a salient point, which is, she says, aren't there only 5 emotions? Can you tell us what those are, Linda? Because I'm not sure. Happy, sad would be 2 of them. Happy, sad, angry. That was from Bria. Is scared an emotion or a state of being? I'm not sure.
I think fear is.
Elated. That would be happy on a scale of 1 to 10. That would be like an 8.7. Man, I should have printed out my list of emotions. Fear. What else do we have there, Linda? Seduction? I don't think that's on the list. Emotion, moods. I mean, obviously, I think all of us would agree that that would be great for a scene. Could be a bar scene, a club scene. It definitely makes you smell alcohol and probably the red tufted leather, circular booth that you're sitting in the corner of the club. It pretty much evokes that kind of club. As a matter of fact, Bria, would you make a note that we should get that for the music supervisor that's currently working on the HBO series? I will actually send that to her because I know that many of the scenes in that series take place in smoky clubs.
Oh, this
Yeah.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a note.
I don't know that she's looking for that sort of stuff, but I know that a lot of scenes, and she's building her stash now for the season. Making a note. Be right back. Can't think of her name, but okay. Sadness and joy. I've got hope, or happy, sad, anger, and fear. What else? What's number?
It, but
huh?
My Wi-Fi reach is not.
Oh. Okay. Anyway, content. I would say that's content, but it could have also been confident, little sassy. Again, I don't know if that's technically an emotion. Anger, fear, okay, Linda's got the official list. Anger, fear, disgust, joy or happiness, and sadness, with the 7th being contempt. Okay, so anger, fear, sadness, happy, which is joyful, disgust, and contempt. Okay, Ooh, let's see if we can find those. All right, let's move. Somebody said, I looked up basic emotions. We've got anger, fear, sadness, disgust, and surprise. Gloria got surprise on there. All right. Great job in that, Henry. And, you know, sometimes it's not that they're looking to establish an emotion or a mood so much as they're looking to establish a location. A good example of that, where it can be both things, would be music for something on the Travel Channel, like one of the episodes of Andrew Zimmern shows, which are under many titles these days. But, you know, when he shows up at a little street market in Greece, and the music immediately lets you know that they're in Greece. So that's an establishing shot from a video perspective. And the music also tells you they're in Greece. But they wouldn't play you Greek music that's sad if it's an outdoor market. They would play Greek music that's happy because you're having a good time. You're on vacation, you're shopping, you're sampling food, and now I'm getting hungry. Okay. Moving on, I got to pick up the pace a little here. By the way, last week, Robin Frederick, I got to say, it was 2 weeks ago, last week, 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, Robin Frederick did an amazing job on the doing the quick turnaround or speed dating things on songs. Okay, this one's called The Baddest, and it is a song.
Yeah. Hey, you know you beautiful, But right now, girl, you looking like you bad. You know, ladies, let's go. You know, body, want it, need it. They don't think you can see that. Your conversation's great. I love your intellect. I'm trying to read your play. When I get around, you can't seem to relax. You shoot a bit bossy, and other times flossy. I don't really get nervous, but you throwing me off my. I think that you perfect. Ooh, to me you're precious. You around you, I feel vulnerable. Still doing the pattern. I can tell you're built from a different mold. Got a special glow with you. I think I can grow, so I feel it's something you should know. Yes, girl, you know that you are everything. Yeah. I feel you deserve everything. Yeah. If you ain't know you deserve the best, there's one thing I must confess. Your beauty is effortless. Now you know. Everybody wants yours. No, you had deserving the war. You're super sexy, bitch. Them hips and luscious lips. The way you walk and switch love, how your outfit match your confidence. Yeah, you original. Yeah, don't run from your flaws. No, you set your own trends. Yeah, you put on the show. Whoa, a diamond in the rough. When them people call you bluff. Now I see you leveled up, cause you more than relevant.
We're going to start fading with there over a couple of minutes just so we can get more done on the show. Thank you very much. That was really, really well done. That was The Baddest. That was by Chike. By the way, Bria would know the answer. I don't know the answer. Are all of these taxi members or just people on the list?
No, it's just people on the list. We didn't.
Right. Okay. So they don't necessarily have to be taxi members.
Most are, though.
She says most are.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So I'm curious to see what you guys thought. Steven Spinner says the emotion was aroused. I got a laugh out of Bria. I'm not getting any emotion, not one of the emotions listed, but sexy. So we've got aroused and sexy. Gene Alley says he can't understand the words. Dean Winkleman says confused. Patty Hunter says love. Shanita Timmons says infatuated. AJ Hall says horn dog. I think we've got a theme going on here. Let's see. Glenn says fear from the sirens at the start. Kenda Potter says longing. Joy, happiness. Arrogant. Interesting. Seductive. J.D. Stamper. It made me feel sexy with a blush. From Drew Richardson. Desire or longing. Okay. So, there's a theme going on. Is swagger an emotion? John Pearson wants to know. No, but, swagger is something that is associated most often with two genres of music that I see. Swagger, we get the S word used in briefs from supervisors in libraries when they're looking for hip-hop and when they're looking for rock. So Kenda Potter says lust feel. As Borat would say, sexy time. So it's funny. People either said not a strong emotion was present or obvious, and quite a lot of people actually said that there was a sexiness to it. So you know what? Even though technically it's not on the list of emotions, it's not uncommon for us to get listings where they're looking for R&B, pop R&B, R&B soul tracks, songs that have a certain sexiness to them. And this would be excellent for that, gotta say. Gene Alley says, this is a family show. It is a family show. Unless I screw something up, then it's not quite a family show. And that's been known to happen a couple of times, but twice in 7 years. What the hell? Okay. Good to go. So great job on that, Chike. Next one is called Red Sky Morning. Let's have a listen. This one is an instrumental. All right, so that was Red Sky Morning, and that was from Bob Metty. Horseboy. I love Bob Metty. Become a good friend over the years. All right, so some of the stuff that I personally wrote down, Borders on Little Sad, was reflective, had some introspection, and the other stuff that I saw go by was regretful, lonely, wistful, nostalgic. That was maybe my favorite comment. You could absolutely see somebody being nostalgic with that. The cool thing about that was that it evoked, none of us had to work, and this is the point that why I wanted to do this show today, is none of us had to work very hard to come up with some great suggestions for that piece of music. So that makes it very usable by a music supervisor. That makes it very desirable for a library to sign because it's very pitchable. So that's what they want. They don't care. There's this big misconception out there that, as I spoke about early in the show, that really well performed, really well engineered, really well produced, greatest samples, all that stuff. Yes, you can have all of that, but if the emotion isn't present and even obvious, it makes it less usable. Libraries, it's amazing. Sometimes we'll forward stuff that you would think a library would pick up in a minute, and when I speak privately with the library owner, it's like, yeah, why didn't you like that? It was such a great piece of music. Well, it was, but I just couldn't imagine how it would be used. So why go to the effort? Why would him, the library owner, go to the effort of signing the paperwork, which doesn't seem like that much effort, but they've got to do their background checks and make sure that the music is actually clear. And why would they want to put a piece of music in a library and tie it up, which is the bigger concern? They don't want to tie a piece of music up unless they think they can make money for the person whose music they just signed. So unless they have a relatively instant and very clear vision of how that music could be used, what emotion or attitude it portrays or supports, they're not likely to sign it. So I thought that one was probably the best example so far today of having several things that were pretty obvious as to what it could be used for. So take a bow, Bob Metty. Good job on that. All right, moving forward. The next one is called The Climb, and it's also an instrumental. I was having a great time studying you guys studying it, and I'll tell you why in a moment. All right. So that one was called The Climb, and that was by Aaron Van Selm. Great job in that, Aaron. So several people are saying I didn't really get the emotion. And my feeling is this was a unique piece of music in that it was on a single motif, very repetitious in a good way, motif from beginning to end. But it also scored a movie or different parts of a scene. A music editor could probably go in and search and find sections that would accomplish his or her goals. But if you took the whole piece, it was really, I believe, meant to be with the scene because it ran a range. And I actually had written down the word resolved, and somebody else wrote grief to resolved. And I believe that it did sound, people are saying, can't we call out, what kind of scene it would work in? We've done that before. We can do another one of those shows if you want, but I didn't want to clog up today's thought process with spitting out scenes because people would just go there rather than thinking about the emotion. And the lesson that I want you guys to learn today is about the emotion, making your emotion obvious. And I just didn't want you to stray and go into scenes. But people talked about after the battle. Clearly, this is the sunrise after the battle with the steam and the smoke rising off the ground and the dead bodies and the limbs and, all that gory crap. But it did start out reflective of grief. And there were parts of it that could have been used really well for that. But you would have to find an ending for it if you just use that section for, let's say, 9 seconds of something that had grief. But the thing, at the end, it became very much about resolve. So it was like, okay, we lost this battle, but we can go on. We can move forward. We can win the war. It took us through that story, which tells me that it was probably scored to picture or was not done with the thought of just being an instrumental cue, because we all know, and we stress so much here at Taxi, that a cue should have one purpose and one emotion. So great piece of music, little tough to use. Really, really well done. Nice going. Somebody wrote, Anna Yarbrough says, somebody wrote Rising from the Ashes as well. Good descriptor. Anyway, Patty Hunter says, thank you, Michael. Was that yours, Patty? Or are you just thanking me because I'm awesome and wonderful? I'm guessing maybe it was yours because I don't get the awesome and wonderful thing all the time. I get thanks for explaining. I get it. Do you have to be a sad person to write this? No, you have to be able to put yourself in the body and the head of a sad person, and put yourself in the 10th row of a movie theater and think about the person you're writing it not for, but to. That's your audience. That's the person that you've got to connect with. Okay, moving on. Okay, the next one is called Whoa. And I don't mean like whoa, horsey, I mean like whoa.
Take a fortune teller, ask her what's in store. She'll say, haven't I seen you before? You for work on Monday, don't know when that is. I sacrifice
All right. That was Whoa by Drew Richardson. That was a pretty cool piece of music. But I'm going to say these are some of the emotions I saw people shouting out on the chat room, which was hope, desire, longing, reflection, nostalgia, regret. I could hear all those things in there. And I've got to say, one of the things that I thought of was it did have boom, 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 kind of the classic country rock bass and kick drum riff right out of like 1974. And people were saying, oh, spaghetti western. Absolutely. I would treat this thing as an instrumental. Do an instrumental mix, take out the lyric, but just leave in the vocal, whoa, 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 whatever the vocalizations were, I believe in the chorus, and do a mix that's purely instrumental, maybe shorten it down, then have another mix that's got just those vocalizations, the non-lyrical vocalizations, and then maybe another mix that's got the lyric in it. But what made it a little difficult from a usability factor was that it really seemed to have a story of its own. So it's hard for a supervisor to use a piece of music that's got its own story because it's obviously conflicting with the story that's on screen. Sense of longing, resignation, is laid back. That's true. It definitely had a little bit of spaghetti western to it. Anyway, not sure about the emotion, but there's a lot of epoch, location, and genre. That's over my head. Okay, hey, by the way, how's the thumping? I did put I've got like a foamy mouse pad, and I put it under the microphone. Is that better? Because if your subwoofer is freaking out, I would suggest turning down or unplugging the subwoofer, because really all I can do is put that mouse pad under it. It's not on a spring mount mic, like a caged kind of thing. How's that? That's purposeful thumping right there. Good job, Drew. Really, really cool. I liked it. It's vibey. That's a good word for it, vibey, although it doesn't really describe it much, but it's part of it. Okay, next one's called The Missing. Okay, I love the fact that you guys are now learning how to do this. I'm seeing really good. Well, it's also a testament to the fact that the music lent itself well. That was The Missing by Nick Moxham. Is Nick here? wake up, Nick. I think he's like in Australia or the UK. I don't know. The dude's got an accent, so he's from somewhere. He's not from Southern California because he'd be like, oh, for sure. Bria's laughing at my Valley Girl accent. That's as good as it gets. Sorry. You get what you pay for.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that from LA.
For sure.
For sure.
You need to go to the mall in Woodland Hills and hang out with a bunch of 14-year-olds.
Oh.
Okay, where are my notes? Okay, some stuff that I saw come up from you guys was desolation, bleakness, hopelessness, sadness. I wrote contemplative, empty, emptiness, lost, despair. Those are all really valid. That's a very usable piece. Suicide, that's not an emotion. That's a state of being, or a state of not being, technically. Peter Rahill, for sure. Anyway, really good job on that. Paul says, sorry I'm late. Parenting can be complicated. No, just lock the kids in their room. Whatever happens, you know. Eventually they either shut up or run away from home. So it's all good, right? I'm kidding. All right. That was the missing. We are moving on now to Sweet Magnolia. I am so curious. Great job on that. That was none other than the one-armed bandit, Mr. Mojo Bone, who's reported in the chat room that he's dealing with a broken arm, or broken Mojo Bone, I guess it is. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully, I was going to say, hopefully it's not one of your arms that you use for playing guitar, but that's obviously not the case. Anyway, reflective, longing, pensive, driving and thinking, reflective. Reflective came up a lot. Depressing, slightly depressed. I don't know if it's depressing, but I could see a character being a little depressed. I've got to say, Mojo, when I was listening to that the other night, Deb and I were watching something, and I commented to her, as I'm often prone to do during everything we watch. I said, "Isn't that amazing? So far, whatever show we were watching or movie, like 5 pieces of music in a row, it was scored, and it was all just scored with solo guitar, just emotion being played on guitar, which frankly, I would just take some of the guitar stuff that was in there and just strip those tracks out and use them just as they are. Nothing more than a guitar with the reverb by itself is enough to convey an emotion. Let's see, cool feelings. I'm looking wistful, mellow, happy to me. Damn you, Anna. That's what you get for being so damn positive all the time. Oh, man. I'm getting punch drunk on my Rockstar. What the hell's in that Rockstar? Imagine how well Mojo could play with 2 hands. Oh, man. All right. He hasn't lost his mojo. That was obviously, somebody had to say that. Okay, moving on. Next one's called Unbroken.
By the front door, your friend's car outside. I can't find the words hidden beneath my pride. I watched the door close on the years of you and I. I'm left here wondering why. Will time get me over this pain? I feel the absence of your touch. Help me. Things will be alright. Lying here in this empty bed, replaying all the years and the things you said. This house is not a home without you here. My love for you cannot go unspoken when we're still unbroken. My smile in the bottom of a shot of whiskey and chase it with the pain of how you just won't miss me. I've never been one to admit when I was wrong. I hang up my armor now that you're gone. Will time get me over this pain? I feel the absence of your touch. Help me. Tell me what I can do. Our very first kiss set my world on fire. Girl, you know that you're my one desire. Please tell me you still feel it too. This love for you just cannot go unspoken when we're still unbroken. Time get me over this pain. I feel the absence of your touch. Help me heal. I'm just lost without you. My very last kiss set my world on fire. You've always been my one desire, and I hope you still feel it too. This love for you just cannot go unspoken. We're still unbroken. empty bed, fighting back the tears from the things I said. Baby, I miss you.
All right, that was Unbroken by Troy Diaz. Something I promised myself I wasn't going to do today, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to give you a little song critiquing stuff, Troy, because that song was really, really good and that friggin' close to wonderful. For me, it conveyed sadness, loneliness. At points, I thought maybe there was some hopefulness about redemption or, self-resurrection in there. But the most positive thing and wonderful thing about that song is it's extremely difficult in country music. If country music done well tells a story, it does what my friend Ralph Murphy always says, invites the listener in the first line. And a lot of times the tool that people use for songwriting to invite the listener in is to give them a lot of visual details in the story. My favorite example is a demo which I took off my shelf the other day. It talks about the truck. I can hear the truck tires coming up the gravel road. It's so descriptive. We all can hear the crunch of the truck tires coming up the country road. And she's sitting in the truck, no radio playing. So it's telling us what's going on in the story, which makes it almost entirely unusable for a film and TV placement because it would conflict with the story that's being told. So what makes country music great makes it largely unusable in film and TV. Yet there have been some more interest in country for film and TV in the last 3-4 years than ever before. Country used to be a word that was just never even, a genre that was never even considered. But clearly the show Nashville helped that, and there was another one like Heart of Dixie. Okay, this song was beautifully executed on a lyric level for being what we call universal lyrics, meaning it avoids names, dates, times, places, brands, and profanity, and also avoids a story that conflicts with the story on screen. So this talked about the emotions and the pain, which are universal, but didn't give a lot of detail as to the story. And I just kept thinking over and over, this is really one of the few country songs I've heard in a long time that's very, very usable for film and TV. Here's the song critique part. There were some lyric phrasings that made it a little hard to digest. Not major problems, but the song would be 15% better if those lyric phrasing issues were ironed out. And the drums were too busy. I actually had the thought, I wonder if the person who wrote the song is also the drummer. But the drum part was like, hey, look at me, all the cool fancy stuff I can do. Doesn't matter. Nobody in a movie or nobody watching a TV show, or for that matter, anybody listening to a hit record on the radio is ever going to say, man, I'm glad that drummer did that because now I love the song even more. Maybe some other drummers would, and I understand. I get it. If you're that talented and that good at your craft that you can do all that slick stuff, you want to show it off. But there's a time and a place, and this song, I don't believe, was it. So I would simplify the drums on that. Simplify the drums, get the phrasing calmed down a little bit, a little more in the pocket, and you are 15% away from potentially having a hit song, which is really hard in country, definitely having a country song that would fly in film and TV. So there you go. Really good job on that. That again was Troy Diaz. Song was called Unbroken, and the most common comments as far as the emotion were sadness and loneliness. Ken DePotter says Michael is channeling Robin. Nobody can channel Robin. As much as I love that compliment and appreciate it, Robin is impossibly hard to channel. I've learned so much from her over the years. Look, I sit here with copies of both of her books next to me at all times. Why? Because I use them. Sometimes when I'm checking a listing before it goes out the door, I will actually open up Robin's books and look at things to think, can I steal a phrase from her? Can I learn something about a better way to express this? If you don't have these two books, you're operating at a deficit. And yes, I am the publisher. I do make a few bucks if you buy one.
We are giving one away.
We are giving one away?
Yeah, you said you were.
I did?
In the email.
Oh, cool. Apparently I said I was giving one away in the email. So don't let me forget that. Good thing.
To the song that had the easiest to find mood.
Oh, that's right. Okay, the song that had the easiest to, I do remember writing that. Whichever song had the easiest to find mood, that person is going to get a copy of either Shortcuts to Hit Songwriting or Shortcuts to Songwriting for Film and TV. I hope you marked down which one had the easiest to define mood. Because I sure didn't. Look at this. Those are my notes. Woo! Okay. Moving on. Oh, there's Troy. Nice job, Troy. Michael Mishna's Mishnya. Most Obvious Mood wins a free copy of Robin Frederick's awesome book, Shortcuts to Songwriting for Film and TV. If you already have that one, I'll give you the other one. Okay. Moving on. Next person on the list is, this is called Ultralight Future. That was it. It was a cue. Sorry. I was getting into it. Totally spaced out. Going, oh, that's cool. I like the riff. Okay, that was Ultralight Future by Mark Himley and Anna Yarbrough. So, what were hopeful, happy, hopeful, elated, joyful, hard not to be influenced by the title, Freedom and Flight. You know, I got to say, I made a note on the backside of this, which I can hardly read anymore. Somewhere on this I wrote down, telegraphing the title. This is a great example of the title telegraphing what the music should sound like. So if you're a music supervisor, and I'll bet you guys learned this on Taxi TV, your music supervisor or an editor working on a show, and you open up a bin of a particular style of music, let's call it future bass, and you've got a scene that you need something light and airy and fun, and maybe has a little hopefulness or playfulness in it, and you see Ultralight Future, what are you going to do? You're going to play that one because it sounds like what you're looking for, right? So that's a great example of a great title and a great piece of music that does convey happiness. Jim Stamper says, sounds like a tech commercial theme. Starts out neutral, then displays strength, happiness, cuteness, optimistic. Anyway, all really good stuff. It's a great piece of music, very usable, and positive, which makes it good for, you know, frankly, a lot of people. Here's something I've never said in over 7 years of doing Taxi TV. I don't believe I've ever made this point, but I've had the thought, so I'm going to spew it out right now, which is people tend to make sad, reflective, introspective music, especially instrumental composers. Why? Because those are the emotions they most remember having. I don't think we as easily remember the happier times in our lives. We can if we think about it, but the sad stuff really hurts and it moves us in a deeper way, so that sticks with us. And I think when people sit down with a blank slate and a keyboard in front of them, all they have to do is hit like one minor chord and there they go. They're off and running on something sad for the day. So it's just an observation of mine over the years doing what I do for a living, that more people, unless they're pushed into doing something happy, will kind of default to sadness. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just an observation that I've made. Also want to mention, I saw somebody asked for, where was it? I made a note. Crap, I can't read my own writing and I can't find it. The song by Judith, we just put out a listing about an hour ago for a $200,000 sync fee, which you would split with the publisher, for a TV commercial, and they referenced two songs that were funky soul music, okay? Where is it? Judith Hill, Abracadabra by Judith Hill. And the gentleman said, I'm in the UK and I can't get the song over here. Honestly, if I play it on the show, we're going to have problems. So I'm not going to do that.
They can just search it.
Yeah,
I'm
just...
sure they can find another link.
Yeah, you've got to be able to find it somewhere. If all else fails, go spend $1 and download it from Apple Music, okay? iTunes, because it's a cool song and you should know. But you will notice that both the references, in my opinion, my humble opinion, both references that just went out in the $200,000 listing, very rhythmic. Not just in the middle 8 sections, but they start out rhythmic. They maintain a very rhythmic feel. My guess, from having done audio post on like a silly number, I mean, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 commercials over a 5-year period, that as an audio post engineer when I lived in New York, that rhythmic stuff sells. It's generally not depressing. It's generally up and fun and moving. So yeah, don't miss that listing. I believe that one of our members can nail that listing. I would love nothing more than to see one of our members nail a major, I'm guessing it's probably, they said it's for an alcoholic beverage. We weren't allowed to even know the company that it's for. The ad agency wouldn't tell us. But yeah, somebody can nail that. I just found out about something the other day. Oh, gosh. Oh, I can't talk about it. One of our members is like this close to something extremely notable on a major label thing, but I can't talk about it. Happy birthday, Sherry. Where are you? I don't even see you in the chat room, but apparently it's your birthday, so happy birthday. Okay, next up. Last Breath. Let's have a listen to that, which is also an instrumental. A lot of instrumentals today. Okay, that was Last Breath by David Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth, not Hollingsworth, Hollingsworth. Great job on that. It was really well executed. What the hell? I need to lay off the hard stuff. Really well executed, Q. It was inquisitive. They're researching something in a crime lab, looking through a microscope. They're looking for fibers, kind of stuff. Anticipation, uneasiness, intrigue, apprehension, frightened, pensive, confused, tense, tensive. Well, there's a new word, tensive. Racing against time, I got that already. Anxiousness, exploration, fear, apprehension, deliberating, anxious again, anticipatory. That's what I thought, a CSI show. All right, really good job, and you guys obviously knew what it was. It conveyed the message well, or conveyed the emotion well. All right, let's move on. This is a song, and this is called Life is Changes, Song to Andrew. So if anybody's named Andrew, this is for you. Makes me want to do my Neil Young imitation.
Been down this road so many times. It seems different but still the same. On the path of being one step behind, where nothing is as it seems. Almost gave in, almost gave up. Still waters run so deep, and all the mind games, all the changes, and me, I'm a changing too. Take a look around you, son. There's more here than meets the eye. Press in when there are hard times. Point your dreams to the sky. Never give in, never give up. Keep your head held high. Life is changes, ever moving. Don't let it pass you by. Never give in, never give up. Keep your head held high. Life is changes, ever moving. Don't let it pass you by.
That was Life is Changes by Dale Secrest. Secrest. Sorry if I butchered your name. Dale, I hope you're watching. It was clearly an homage to Neil Young. And I mean, it had, it was sad, somber, philosophic. There's a word we haven't had yet today. Patty Hunter says she's a Canadian. Well, then you're very polite. Nice to meet you. Sadly reflective. Great job, Dale. TV commercial for what, Steve? Harmonicas, maybe. I don't know. That's not something that would be typically used in a TV commercial, in my humble opinion. Yeah, it was a pretty cool song. It was a little too personal for film and TV placement stuff. I'm looking for other people giving ideas. If it was Neil, what would Michael say? By the way, that photo is Neil Young's setup. Look closely at this. Ooh, it's hard to see. But rather than having pedals that overdrove his amps, he had pedals with little motors on them that would actually turn the knobs on his amp so he could get the overdrive organically. And yes, that is a garbage can in the middle of the room. Reminds me of one day I worked with Joe Cocker, and we had to have garbage cans all over the room because Joe would chug like half a quart of booze and then go throw it up 30 seconds later. But I don't believe that's why we had that garbage can set up. I think that was just generically in the middle of the room so people could throw. Wasn't a lot of drinking or smoking or anything exciting going on that session. But for those of you who are wondering, that was the Stills Young album, Long May You Run, when almost all the musicians were in the room at the same time. And that I had to take pictures of everybody's setup because if they moved stuff around and we needed to get it back to where it was later to capture the same ambiance, that's why I had those pictures. Spittoon, there you go. Reflective, somber, lonesome. There you go. Mark Doyle, the capo and the damage done. Sad resilience. Interesting. There's Dale. Really nice piece of music, Dale. Good job. All right, moving on. Next one is called Alien Laboratory. Let's have a listen. Okay, that was Bria not paying attention is what that was.
I'm very sudden.
That was called Alien Laboratory. That was by Shannon Seifert, and it's an instrumental. And some of the stuff that I wrote down was pensive, tense or tension, apprehensive, anticipatory, chase scene, snails, maybe one snail chasing another. I don't know if I agree with that, Mark. Let's see, looking for a place to hide, possibly. I don't know that that's an emotion. Very well done. MTP Studios, I'm guessing that's Shannon? I'm guessing. I don't know. You're welcome. Make a great trailer. Foreboding. That's probing. I'm not. Yeah. Aliens probing. No, probing. Mentally probing, right? Anyway, good possibilities on that one. That could, you know, where that would be really, that would be great on Viceland, which is the channel owned in, what's the word I'm looking for? Promulgated? Yeah, Vice owns it, okay? Any of the Vice shows, many of the Vice shows, that would be a great piece of music on. Because they always do stuff that's not very happy and has a little sense of, it just makes you sweat just a little bit while you're watching. It makes you feel uncomfortable. That piece of music made me feel uncomfortable. So there you go. Okay, moving on.
It's 5:32.
It's what? It's 5. Wow, we're at the end. Holy, I had no idea. I thought we were at 5:20. All right, we are not moving on. Okay, that's all we could get to today. There weren't that many more left on the list, so I'm happy that we got through most of those. Once again, I want to remind you that next week Rob Shirelli will be here. We don't know what the topic will be. If you guys want it to be open Q&A with Rob Shirelli, multi-platinum mixer, engineer, producer, walks on water in his spare time for the sport of it, Rob Shirelli. Always fun to have Rob on the show. He's like family to me. He's my brother. Is there one that stood out?
I'm giving you 2 options.
Giving me 2 options? Well, thanks. Okay. I want to see. All right. I'm going to give you 3 options. Bria had written down Unbroken by Troy Diaz, the country thing. She also had Ultralight Future, which was Mark Hemley and Anna Yarbrough's great instrumental piece. And I think it was Bob's. Remember, we're not voting for what was the best piece of music, but the piece of music that made the emotion most obvious. So I'm going to say that Bob Meddy's piece, which was called Red Sky Morning, which I believe was the one I wrote down, desolation, bleak, hopeful, sadness, contemplative, emptiness, loss, despair. I think that was for the one. Play them again. Oh, my goodness. I don't think we've got the time for all that. Okay, so I'm going to have you guys vote, and Bria will count them up. Okay, so +1, let's start with the Bob Meddy thing. If you think that Bob Meddy's thing was the best and he should get the book, +1 right now. Hit +1 on your keyboards. And while you're doing that, I'm going to answer an urgent text from my daughter because I want to make sure everything is okay. I've never answered a text in 7 years of doing the show, but when my 17-year-old daughter texts me at 5:30 p.m., I think, oh no, she's driving my wife's car. Wow, they're still rolling in. Okay, moving on. Cast your votes for Unbroken by Troy Diaz. I know, I did take notes and I still can't really decipher them. So Glenn, is that happy face a +1? All right, I think the votes have stopped coming in for that one. And last but not least, we have Mark Himley and Anna Yarbrough's thing, which was called, where is it? Ultralight Future. How could I forget a title like that? Ultralight Future. We're flying. What are we voting on? We are voting on which piece had the most obvious emotion, made it easiest for you to instantly go, oh, I know what emotion that makes me feel like. I was hoping that Adriana would submit something and win something today, because I could have just dropped the book off now, because if she's living in the part of LA that I think she might be in, I drive practically right by it on my way home. Sorry, I can't vote 3 times. There's so many great jokes in there, but I'm not going to touch that. For those of you who are watching the archive, why is this guy just sitting there silent in front of the camera? I'm looking at the chat room. I think
now they can see the chat after. They just
oh yeah, I heard that. I saw that. That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. So do you...
Winner is Bob.
Bob Metty is our winner. Congratulations, Mr. Metty. For Red Sky Morning. So, Bob, are you? I saw he was in the chat room earlier. I don't know if he's still there. All right, we'll call Bob and find out which of the 2 books he would like. If he would like a copy of Robin Frederick's classic Shortcuts to Hit Songwriting, which if you guys haven't checked out this book, please do. Bria, can you post links or the?
Yeah, the link to the other one is in there. I'll put it in there right now.
Okay.
The link to Film and TV is in there.
Okay, and here's obviously my sample of Shortcuts to Songwriting for Film and TV. Okay. With that, it was great music tonight. You know, if you go back and listen to the earliest episodes of Taxi TV that I used to do with a young man named Craig on the show way back in, you know, like, gosh, I don't know, 2010, 2011, something like that. And you listen to the music that we played, there are a lot of clunkers in there. No offense to anybody, but the music today is just so much better, and we're just proud of you guys. It's hopefully the show and the road rally and taxis critiques and everything else contributed. Anyway, with that, don't forget we will be back next week for another exciting episode with Rob Shirelli in tow. Until then, have a great week, you guys. See you next week. Bye-bye. Yeah, they like it so much they're clapping twice. Bye, you guys.